On this week's episode, I'm joined by Adam and Sarah. And I'm very sorry, but today is another episode where we speak about food and wine. Adam is a chef, Sarah is a wine sommelier, both from the US, who after time in Belgium and Spain have made their home right here on Portugal's Silver Coast, where they run a business from their home, a farm-to-table business that gives people the opportunity to come and sit at a huge table in a beautiful setting and try and taste delicious food inspired by Portuguese ingredients and Portuguese produce. We discuss, amongst other things, some of the differences between Portugal and Spain. Adam talks about how amazing the ingredients here and the produce and how important it is that everything is seasonal. He also talks about how Portuguese have a real love for food and how important it is that people take the time to taste and enjoy around a table, talking, drinking good Portuguese wine, all of the above. Sarah talks about the uniqueness of Portuguese wine and what makes it so special. And Adam and Sarah share about how they're not trying to reinvent an eating culture or a food culture in Portugal, but how they're trying to honor and celebrate a food culture that has existed for generations. For those of you listening, head over to our YouTube channel to watch some of this episode. And for those of you watching, click down below and subscribe. And for the full podcast episode, head over to Stitcher, Google, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, over to my conversation with Adam and Sarah. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And I'm really happy to be joined here by Adam and Sarah. Guys, hi. Thanks for being on the podcast. Bon dia.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Why don't you guys start off by telling us a little bit about you? Sarah, you can go first.
Sure. Well, Adam and I are both 43 years old, and we are American, originally from Chicago. We've been married over 20 years. And even though we're American, we've actually not moved directly to Portugal from the US. We've been living in Europe for about 8 years now, actually. And we really wanted to come to an area where we felt that there was a good opportunity to grow our food and wine business. So as you mentioned, we have a food truck. And after making a big life decision in 2020 and deciding to follow our dream to start a business together, we bought a food truck. And Adam being a professional chef and me being a certified sommelier, we always had the dream to combine our skills and create special events featuring Mediterranean food and wines.
For you guys, so you mentioned you've fallen in love with Portugal. I mean, what were some of those things that made you fall in love with this place?
Well, first, I think it's the people.
Yeah.
That's what I think kept us here. When we lived in Spain, in actually the Catalonia area near Barcelona,
Okay.
and people are a little bit more, what would you say, Sarah?
More sort of closed, I think.
Closed-minded.
Yeah, in the sense that I think in that region, they're very proud of their culture.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But what we experienced or what we felt sometimes as foreigners was that we really couldn't sort of penetrate into the local culture and build relationships in the way that we wanted to.
Yeah.
We found that to be completely opposite in Portugal.
Yeah.
I mean,
People here are humble and kind and willing to go out of their way to do whatever they can to help you out. I mean, whether there's a language barrier, whatever, the people here just really, we fell in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
So and it definitely helped us to make this our new home.
Everything is seasonal. So if you are getting stuff that's fresh, if you're getting stuff from the farmers like what you guys are doing, you're getting stuff that's grown naturally in the right time of the year. I mean, how important, Adam, as a chef, is that in terms of food? I mean, that's everything.
It really is everything. When you cook with seasonal ingredients, you're getting the most out of the product, the flavors, the textures, the smells. When you buy stuff that has been sitting in a refrigerator for a year, you don't get those same types of products when you buy directly from the farmer when it comes out of the ground and on a plate the very next day. I mean, it changes everything.
Yeah.
But this concept of, again, big table, food all over the table, people sitting around and talking, this is something that's so ingrained in our culture. And I mean, have you learned anything? Have you been to like a good old Portuguese sit down, and have you learned things and seen things that you're like, oh, we're going to do that. We're going to do that at our place as well. Has there been any of that?
Well, I think we're always observing and learning and growing. And we're also fortunate that in the town that we live in, there's a fantastic multi-generational owned winery called Quinta do Sanguinhal. And they specialize not only in producing wonderful award-winning wines, but they also make, just as an example, they make aguardente, which is essentially brandy. And I think a lot of people that don't know about the wine and spirits culture in Portugal might not know or might not realize that the region that we live in is actually one of the DOC protected regions, one of 3 in the world where brandy is produced. And so it's actually a specialty in this region.
And that all of the best vegetables, fruits are from this area. You've now experienced that a little bit more with what you guys are doing. I mean, what do you think is so special about the produce here?
Well, I guess the soil, first of all, you have to have good soil and terrain to be able to produce good produce.
Mhm.
And we work right now with a local farm. She's all organic and biodynamic, and it really you can taste the difference. When someone puts their heart and soul into producing something, you can taste it. You can see it at the end product, and we're happy to work with them.
That love for food and for flavors and for trying, like you said, I mean, I've been around for so many dinners where, well, my wife and I'll go out and we'll eat something. My wife will go, can you taste that? That's something different. That's something that she hasn't tasted before. There's this real love and appreciation for food in Portugal. Have you guys been exposed to that and seen that?
Absolutely, especially with the food truck. We would do a lot of Mediterranean cuisine, like Turkish, Lebanese, Moroccan, and we would have these food truck events here in Portugal, and you would see that the local people are really interested in what I'm cooking and trying new things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, while we're on that, Adam, I mean, is there any kind of particular dish or a Portuguese dish that has inspired you a little bit in terms of what you're going to create next or what you're going to do next?
Well, I'll go to a market. It's kind of like a painter, going out to a landscape, and seeing the beauty and wanting to just sit down and start painting. I'll go to a market, and look at the ingredients and, just right away have an idea of what I want to do with it. So it's not so much, inspiration in terms of like the actual
From a recipe.
yeah, from a recipe, but yeah, just from seeing what's available that's fresh, and yeah, trying something new. I'm an adventurous person, so I like to keep things interesting. Yeah.
Sarah, let's talk about wine.
Sure.
Good wine country.
Absolutely. Well, for me, wine is all about, I always tell people, drink what you like, find what you like, drink what you like. For me, when I choose the wine to pair with our menus for our farm to table events, I'm always thinking about how I can highlight or enhance the dishes that Adam is preparing. But I always tell people, because we always serve both red and white wine, I always tell people, if you're a red wine drinker and you're not a big fan of white wine, do not force yourself to drink the white wine. Drink what you like, drink what you enjoy. And Portugal is actually a really interesting wine region in that there are over 100 different indigenous grape varieties that exist here. And most of those grapes are not exported to anywhere else in the world. So you can actually try wines here that literally don't exist anywhere else. There's such a long culture of winemaking that many of the winemakers here have really perfected their art and their skill. So when you visit a local vineyard or winery, you're usually having the opportunity to try something that has been passed down generation over generation and just continually improved and perfected. So these are excellent quality wines.
But you guys have lived in Spain. What for you are some of the big differences between the two cultures and the two places? I know you mentioned the people, and that's kind of probably everything. But I mean, what are some of the differences for you, Adam?
Well, also safety.
Yeah.
I think we feel really safe and comfortable here in Portugal. And in the Barcelona area, we felt like crime was becoming a real problem.
And ocupas.
Yeah, and people trying to squat in your homes. If you were away on holiday, we were always concerned that someone might actually try to break in.
We actually did have an attempted break-in and vandalism at our home in Spain when we were in Portugal scouting a new place to live. And that was in a community where there was 24-hour security, a person that went on patrol, really good neighbors looking out for each other. And that, I think, was kind of the last straw for us when we finally decided it was time to seek another place to live and to grow our business.
A question that we ask all of our guests. I'll let this time I'll let Adam go first. Portugal, the simple life. Why?
I think it lets you have to learn how to slow down. Coming from a fast-paced life, being a chef, I think the community, the people have taught us how to slow down and enjoy things.
Beautiful. Yeah. And for you, Sarah?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. It's a simple life for me means not living in a way where you feel like a mouse on a wheel and living in a rat race, to use an American expression, and being surrounded in a culture where people really take the time to enjoy the simple joys in life. This has been lost, I think, in many other cultures. And I think the best way to live a long and healthy life is to do just this. It's to simplify your life. It's to remove things from your schedule. It's to slow down. It's to taste your food and taste that wine. And the simple life for me means really just appreciating those simple joys.
Beautiful. I like that a lot. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Adam and Sarah. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Great
it was a
talking
pleasure.
to you.
And I'm going to let you call it.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.